What's up, foam fam? It's your boy Not Enough. Welcome back to Blaster Labs. Today we're going to be looking at this Mach 100 that does not want to run. Let's see if we have a little time at the end. We might even throw a little bit of bonus modification content. I picked this up about 4 weeks ago on thrift. It was like $4. This is a Mach 100 that was not operating when I found it. The feeding mechanism would run, but not the flywheels. And then when I brought it home and I removed the batteries to see if there was any corrosion, and then I reinserted them, it would not do revving or feeding. There's definitely some kind of funky stuff going on here. There's definitely no corrosion, but there might be some internal things that need to be looked at, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's get into it. For the sake of benefit of the doubt, I'm going to do a quick test. Okay. There doesn't seem to be anything wedged in the flywheels, so she doesn't want to run for sure. We're going to pop this shell and find out what's going on. Guys, snip the battery cables over here. I just saw something that made me think maybe this is why it's not running. This little board here apparently takes two of these little chips. Apparently there's one loose that I can see down there. I'm gonna grab it with my tweezers. See it right there. And it looks like these are supposed to, I don't know how it's connecting. Oh, that's not good. So I traced the wires up to this branching area. Ultimately, I'm gonna have to remove the flywheel cage to look behind it and see where all these wires are attaching to behind the motors. The view is kind of obstructed by the cage itself, and we need to take a peek, see what's going on. Oh yes, that's more like it. Now we're gonna have a look in here and see if we can, I don't think I need this lock here, so I can probably harvest this switch, completely remove it. This is the jam door lock. Don't think I need this switch, so we're gonna find a way to how to bypass this switch and move on from there. So our battery is connected. I went ahead and bypassed that circuit board that had those failing chips on it. Right now we're just gonna do a basic test to see if there's any conductivity and if the motors run. Locks are pressed in. Alright guys, so another reason that board probably burned out was because I just found this as well. This is a ball that's actually wedged in the conveyor belt mechanism, and it's probably what overheated the mechanism to begin with. Now we're just going to take this apart, see if we can remove this circuit board and direct wire this motor so there's no limitations on the feeding speed. Alright guys, so just a recap on what I've done so far. I took the motor out, tested it, it tests fine with the battery. So all I have to do now is figure out the polarity to make sure that the feeder mechanism feeds in the correct direction. And then we're going to put our blaster together and see what kind of battery pack we're going to come up with for it. Alright guys, this blaster was all kinds of locked up. I took the circuit boards off. I'm actually going to do a full rewire because I've just done too much disassembly at this point. So I might as well up the gauge, do a clean rewire with no lock. Screw it, YOLO. This blaster is going to go all out now. This thing was wedged under the flywheel. I kept wondering, man, I took the cap off the motor, looking at the commutator and the brushes and the armature and the rotor, and I'm like, why does this flywheel spin so like hard? Like this one I could literally just spin by hand. Why is this one so seized up? So I kept like trying to spin it, and you know, being my hard-headed self, I'm here like and all of a sudden boop, it poops out this freaking hyper ball. I don't even know how, but this thing must have been wedged up either under the flywheel, under the lip, or somewhere in this housing. I don't know how this happened. Somebody who knows it, is this a common flaw with the Hyper Mach 100? Do hyperballs just get stuck? Now I know this kind of silicone-y rubber is a little bit more like tacky and it's prone to stuff sticking to it, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of air ridges on these flywheels. They're well made, so there shouldn't be a reason why these motors should seize up like that. That's just kind of weird. But yeah, this was stuck in here, and that was causing this motor to not want to spin. So I'm going to put this motor back together and we'll just do a quick voltage test to see if it wants to spin now. Alright guys, check the motors. Motors are good. Cleaned the brushes and commutators on all three motors. I usually do that every time I open a blaster in case it has any prior abuse, if it's a used blaster of course. These were actually pretty clean for everything these motors apparently went through with those stuck balls. But anyway, as far as your wiring, you can obviously purchase your wire in bulk. I have hundreds of these TV cables, 14 to 16 gauge. It's really good wire. So I'm basically going to dismantle this TV cord assembly. There's at least about 5 good feet of wire in here. That's more than enough for this Hyper Mach 100. Once I'm done disassembling and harvesting the wires off this cord, I'll be back. All right, guys, so I harvested my 14 gauge wire. You got a good 5 feet of it. So basically you just want to make sure you have enough to go the route of your blaster. So once we measure that out, we'll start stripping our wire in the proper areas we need to touch all the switches and get on with our day. All right, guys. Woo! Man, this turned out to be a little bit more labor intensive than I was expecting, but we successfully have rewired our Mach 100. Basically, I removed all the locks. I just kept the 2 switches, which are the necessary ones, the rev trigger and the feed trigger. Now, I think I'm gonna build a nickel metal hydride battery pack. I just think it suits this blaster better. It'll turn it into more like a Percy's kind of feel. I like that feel where there's just a little bit of healthy lag to the rev up rather than that huge surge of revving that the lithium batteries create. All right, guys, I successfully reduced down that center rib from that battery tray, polished it down so it could look professional. So I decided to go with an 8S nickel metal hydride 18670 cell battery pack. I measured the width and the length of this pack, and it's gonna fit better in the cavity of the Hyper Mach 100. These batteries came off of an iRobot Roomba battery pack. That means that these batteries are also high drain. At least it ensures that these batteries are going to be okay with high current situations. So let's build this battery pack and see what we got. All right, guys, 8S battery pack has been built. All my connections are soldered in. What I did is I glued 2 cells together first, then I soldered them, and then I wrapped the 2 packs. My wrap is only wide enough for that. I have to get some 3-inch to come over this way, but for now I'm going to get some electrical tape and just wrap it this way, kind of make it look better, and then I'll slide this down and heat shrink it so we have a nice little harness. I'm gonna wrap this battery, give it a nice little charge, and then we're gonna do a test firing run of the Hyper Mach 100, which was originally broken, and now it got a little bit of upgrades. All right, guys, so as common sense would suggest, you always want to test fit stuff before you finalize the packaging. So what I'm doing right now is I wanted to test that the battery pack fits fine, and in fact it fits better than I thought it would. Just like with my turbine, the little D-cell springs actually help support it, as you can see here, and on the top got the harness tucked away right here, so that is all good. Testing the trap door, gotta make sure everything closes. Yep, all good to go. Now these batteries are kind of dead-ish. I have to charge them. I'm gonna be doing that, and then I'm gonna do a full firing test. All right, guys, the time has come. We have successfully fixed the problems with our Hyper Mach 100. We've corrected all the issues it had. We had a faulty circuit board that was missing some semiconductors. We fixed that. There was some jammed ammo in there. We fixed that. We actually rewired the entire blaster to some 14 gauge wiring. We built an 8S nickel metal hydride battery rated at 3600 milliamp. That should give us a lot of blasting time. So we're gonna do one last check, our battery fit, and make sure to get our connection in. It's a little bit of a tight fit. Look at that. All right, we took this wire away from here. All right, that is a beautiful thing. All right, we're gonna secure our battery door, and we are going to see if this baby can shoot. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm gonna try a couple in semi first. Gonna have to apply some trigger control. Once we achieve a good semi-automatic firing consistency, then we'll try to switch to auto. So I'm gonna shoot like 5 rounds in semi and see if the thing will actually spit some rounds, and then we'll take it from there. Oh, this is actually harder to control than I thought. Wow. Okay, so that was pretty interesting. It's harder to trigger control with this kind of voltage for single rounds, but at least we know she shoots now. Now, let's do an entire mag dump. All right, guys, I don't know if I picked up all the balls, but this should be at least a good 30 or 40 rounds. We'll do a little mag dump and then give you my lasting impressions on this. Well, guys, I know that this is a repair / mod video. Let's just say that the Hyper landscape would have been completely different if this blaster would have come with a similar or at least a compatible power supply system from factory. I'm not saying there's not modders out there that can make this better. In one of my prior videos, I mentioned how manufacturers shouldn't have to make any kind of blaster that requires enthusiasts to mod it for it to work properly. Manufacturers should make capable systems that work out of the box so we can have fun with them and so the product line can live on for ages. Look at the Strife, look at the Rapid Strike, look at all these other iconic blaster systems that continue to be amazing and incredible. Even in their factory form, people still enjoy them. If this blaster would have gotten at least maybe one more volt or a rechargeable battery pack from factory, it would have been great. But we know that alkalines is an inherent weakness of these kind of blaster systems. I mean, look at a Dart Zone MK3, for example. It brings a 12-volt alkaline battery compartment from stock. But of course, they threw in that LiPo connector in there because they know at the end of the day, people are not going to want their blaster losing power mid-battle. And that is what is inherent of alkaline batteries. But anyways, as far as the repair and the modification, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope I was able to bring a little bit of light to someone who maybe was having a similar problem with their Mach 100. And now they can actually fix it and even improve its voltage. I just hope I was able to help somebody with this. I enjoy bringing you guys this content. And if you guys like viewing this kind of content, please hit the like and subscribe button, and also comment below and let me know what would you like to see a review on, or a modification on, or a repair on. If you guys are having trouble with certain blasters that break often, let me know. I'll pick one up, I'll thrift one, I'll buy one, and then I will torture test it and see if we can figure it out together. Thank you so much, guys. Love you all. Catch you on the next one, and peace.